In today's video, I got you guys a Modern Warfare 2 inspired top 5 video. With a Modern Warfare 2 trailer dropping today, I figured we'd go back and take some Modern Warfare 2 inspired weapons here and make them into Warzone. If you guys want to enjoy the video, give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. Okay, so our first guy today, we're going to be giving you guys a Vector build here. This is the Fennec from Modern Warfare, and we're going to build this into the Vector. So let's actually hop into this. So first thing on this is we're going to skip the muzzle category. We're going to go straight for the barrel, and we're going to go for that beautiful ZLR 18 deadfall. This is the integral suppressor along with a barrel, increase in damage range, recoil control, bullet velocity, and of course sound suppression. This is going to make it pretty much look a lot more like the Modern Warfare 2 Vector when you have a silencer on it, because that's what a lot of people ran. And also now in the underbarrel section, what we're going to do is we're going to go for a commando foregrip here for recoil stabilization and of course aiming stability. And then next up in the magazine, we're gonna go for that beautiful 40 round drum mag to hopefully increase that ammo capacity enough. I mean, I'd prefer to have a little bit more ammo than this, but pretty much way back in the day, I didn't really have that big of a magazine really either. And now this is pretty much what we're stuck with here anyways in Modern Warfare / Warzone. So the 40 round drum is gonna be the way to go. After that, we're going to go for something in the rear grip section here to kind of help us out with our overall mobility, and that's going to be that beautiful stipple grip tape here for ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. This is a really solid attachment to use on this gun. And then to round out this build here, what we're going to do is we're going to keep the stock and everything on there. We're going to go for a perk, and we're going to go throw on Sleight of Hand, just because the reload on this thing is pretty atrocious, and a lot of people back in the day would run either Sleight of Hand or Scavenger as their tier 1 perk here, or their perk 1 in Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. So this is going to be my build. This works out great here in Warzone. Definitely give this a shot. It's going to be really solid, and it's going to have very, very little recoil, but it's also going to be a really, really fun gun to use. Hope you enjoyed this one. Next up, we're going to be taking the Striker, and this is going to be molded into the Modern Warfare 2 UMP-45. This is pretty much what it's based off of, but it's not necessarily nearly as good as the Modern Warfare 2. Of course, UMP-45, that was a dominant SMG back in the day, but let's give you guys a build here for it that's going to closely replicate that. So first thing in the muzzle category, we're going to go through on that mono suppressor here, sound suppression, damage range, of course. After that, in the barrel section, we're going to go through on the largest barrel in here, which is going to be the 400mm stainless steel barrel, damage range, bullet velocity, and of course recoil control. Got to make this thing as effective as it can be here, just because this is not like a super hard hitting gun, unlike the UMP-45 from MW2. So we got to make this thing hit as hard as we can. After that, we're gonna go to the underbarrel section here. We're gonna throw on the commando foregrip. I know we wouldn't necessarily throw on a foregrip on the UMP-45, but I don't believe we ever ran foregrips back in the day on a lot of the different guns. But we have 5 attachments here, so we're gonna definitely go ahead and use this to make it a lot more usable here within the game. Now in the magazine section, we're gonna go through on that beautiful 45 round magazine. A lot of people like to run either a silencer or an extended mag on their UMP. Maybe they're running just one because of Sleight of Hand or something like that, or Scavenger, or they ran Bling, if you guys remember that, and then run 2 things, and it'd be maybe an extended mag and a silencer, or FMJ or something else like that. But 45 round mag is going to be what to go with. And then for our final attachment, we're going to keep that stock to look the exact same as it would in Modern Warfare 2, or as close as we can. And we're just going to go for an attachment here with the FTAC G-5 EXO for the increased ADS speed and of course sprint to fire speed. Definitely you should give this one a try here. This is the best I can create it to make it look like the Modern Warfare 2 UMP-45. There's also a really cool variant here, and I really like this gun. Honestly, the UMP-45 and the Striker, they're kind of a little bit underrated, but they're also, it's a little fun to use. Okay, next up, we're gonna give you guys a build here for the Kilo 141, which is gonna be made into the ACR 6.8, whatever you want to call it. Pretty much way back in Modern Warfare 2, a lot of people love running this gun, and of course, this is the Ghostly Premonitions, which is a Modern Warfare 2 inspired variant for this gun. So let's give you guys a quick build here for this thing. First in here is going to be a suppressor. We're going to throw on the mono. A lot of people ran this silence way back in the day. It was either a silencer or an extended mag or something else like that, and this is kind of what we're going to be going for, because I ran this silence back in the day. Now in the barrel section, we're going to go through on the 19.8 Prowler barrel. I do believe this is the best way to run this gun kind of in general. No matter if you're playing pubs or if you're playing Warzone, you definitely got to run the Prowler barrel on this gun. Just kind of no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now we're going to go for a more or less an attachment that you wouldn't see on the gun back in the day, but of course now, because we have the option to, a foregrip. And that's going to be the commando foregrip. We're going to throw this on here just because, I mean, you need a little bit of that recoil stabilization on this gun, and this is definitely going to help out. Now in the magazine section, we're going to go through on that beautiful 60 round mag to make this gun as effective as we can possibly make it, just because 60 is pretty good, but also, well, you could really definitely go to 50 if you really felt like it. I mean, it's just kind of a little bit personal preference on what you want to do, 50 or 60, but definitely stay away from the 100, of course, in general. And because we're building Modern Warfare 2 specific styled guns, we want to be able to just go for a 50 or a 60, but for my preference, it's going to be a 60. Now to really make this thing look a lot more like a ACR, what we're going to do is we're actually going to throw in the Singard Arms Sniper Pro stock that increase in aiming stability. This gives a lot more of that OG ACR look, where just the ACR was a little bit more bulky and kind of, I just guess that's the way I'd really describe it, but this is definitely the way to make it do that. And of course, this is going to make you have a very stable shot, and that's always a good thing. Not going to be super mobile, super agile, but this is going to be a very close, demonstration here on how to make this thing look like the ACR from Modern Warfare 2. Now, I want to take a look at an SMG that I really personally liked from back in the day that I don't think it got enough love just because of, the likes of the UMP and stuff like that. I definitely like the P90. So this is going to be the Stygian variant, whatever. This is just a very basic variant, but let's give you guys a build for this thing. Of course, we ran a lot of our SMGs suppressed back in the day, and the P90 from Modern Warfare 2 had a very large magazine, so we're going to be taking advantage of that. First thing in the muzzle category, we're going to throw on that beautiful mono suppressor like always. It's an SMG, got to keep it suppressed, especially the Modern Warfare ones. We always go for that. In the barrel section, to make this kind of even better, what we're going to do is we're actually going to throw on the FSS 10.6 Pro just because the retribution would probably be more so what I normally go for, but in the purposes of keeping this to look like the Modern Warfare 2 P90, we want to be able to use the FSS 10.6 Pro, and this is going to make it obviously better, but it's going to keep that same general look and style we're going for. Now, in the underbarrel section, I'd probably go in here, and you guys could throw on something like this, for recoil control and aiming stability, the stipple grip tape, which is kind of a little bit funny. It's got like grip tape in the front and grip tape in the rear. You guys could definitely go for something like that if you really want to. Now, we're going to skip pretty much over the laser section and the optic. We're going to go straight for the stock. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through here, and we're going to go throw on the fly strap, that sprint to fire speed and aim walking movement speed. This can help us just make the gun a little bit better here for Warzone purposes, as this is kind of really what we're using this for. You got to be able to make it viable in Warzone as well as making it look cool. So the fly strap, in my opinion, is the way to go on this gun, just to make it more mobile, more agile. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down in here, and we're either going to throw on a laser or a rear grip. But I think for the purpose of this video, we're going to throw on a laser sight. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go throw on the 5MW laser here for hip fire accuracy and sprint to fire speed. This isn't technically speaking what they'd run in MW2, but this would be more of like a campaign thing where you get like a laser on your gun or something like that. And I do really like the 5MW on this weapon. And I will say that also, if you want to throw this on here, you could switch out the underbarrel, and you could go for something specifically like maybe a stipple grip tape in the rear to help your overall mobility, just because this gun's not really going to move around that much, and it's just kind of a little bit, I guess, up to you guys. This would be my build here to take out that front and put on the rear grip. But this is my full build here for the Modern Warfare 2 P90. This is a really fun gun from back in the day that I don't think gets nearly enough love in Warzone right now. Next up, we're going to be building here the Modern Warfare 2 M4A1. So this is actually the Task Force variant. So this came with Modern Warfare 2, I think, campaign thing as well. And this is a really cool bundle that I'm not sure how many guys out there have, but regardless, you can still make it pretty much look like the MW2 M4. But first thing in here is going to, of course, be that muzzle. We're going to throw on the mono suppressor, and this is going to be the way to go for this thing. Now, the barrel section, this is where we kind of have to go against the grain a little bit and not run the Grenadier or the custom marksman. We have to go straight for the tack light, because the tack light is what makes this pretty much look like the Modern Warfare 2 M4. So this necessarily isn't going to be the best, for meta purposes, but it's going to make it look like the MW2 M4, and so that's kind of why I'd recommend this. Otherwise, I'd go for the Grenadier barrel pretty much 10 times out of 10. There's just no reason for me to run anything else, but if you want to make it look like the actual gun, go for the tack light. Now, in the underbarrel section, we're either going to go for the Commando foregrip, or for the purposes of making it look more Modern Warfare 2, you could go for the Ranger foregrip here, and this is going to be also a part of this bundle. So this is really cool. I like the Ranger foregrip, and I'd probably go for this just because you're going to need a little bit more recoil control, as the Grenadier barrel would have normally done that. But of course, because we don't have that, the Ranger barrel is going to be doing, or the Ranger underbarrel is going to be doing that. Now, in the magazine section, we have to throw in a magazine on here. It's just kind of necessary. We're going to go for that 50 or that 60 round mag. It's a little bit personal preference what you guys want to do. But pretty much stay away from these bottom two here. It doesn't make sense no matter what you're trying to do with it. Always go for a 50 or a 60. It's just personal preference at the end of the day. And in these purposes, I'm pretty much just finishing off this whole build here and make it more Modern Warfare 2-esque. I know a lot of us back in the day loved running a holographic sight on the MW2 M4. This is a very low recoil gun that a lot of people like to run a holographic, or maybe just a silencer on there, or a combination of the two with bling or something else like that. So this is what I'm going to be throwing on here as my final attachment for this gun. This is a pretty cool build here. Definitely try it out. It's not necessarily the most viable meta thing, but it keeps the aesthetic that we're going for. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the FN Scar 17, and we're going to make this into the Scar H. So the Scar H is the heavy variant, or the one that's going to shoot the larger caliber of bullet, as opposed to the Scar L, which is what we've seen in previous Call of Duties as well. So we have the Scar H back in the day, which is a very, very heavy hitting gun that I know a lot of people really liked, including myself. So First thing in this is going to be the muzzle. We're going to go through on the mono suppressor. We normally speaking keep our ARs suppressed, especially in Warzone. In the barrel section, what we're going to do is we're going to go through on the Forge Tac 20 LB barrel. This is the damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. This is going to make this thing like really heavy hitting, and it's going to make it more so what we'd feel back in MW2 multiplayer matches, which is going to be using a very heavy hitting AR with not a lot of ammo, which is kind of the same case here for MW 2019 and of course Warzone. After that, we're going to go to the underbarrel section because we have to be able to control that recoil, and we're going to throw in that commando foregrip. This obviously isn't something we'd use back in the day because there really wasn't a slot for that, but of course nowadays we definitely have to add on some sort of recoil control thing, and that's going to be the commando foregrip. Now in the magazine section, we're going to go throw in that beautiful 30 round mag here, just because, I mean, that's pretty much the max you're going to get out of this thing. It was like 30 back in the day, 30 now. I wish they'd give it more ammo, maybe a little bit more mobility or something like that, and this would probably be a lot better of an AR to use and probably be more meta, to be honest with you, but 30 is just pretty much like your cap on this thing, so we're going to go for the 30. And then it finishes off this whole build here because we ran this with pretty much iron sights back in the day. I'm going to go for like a stipple grip tape here for ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. I don't feel like there's a reason for me to throw like a VLK 3x optic or a Corp Combat Hollow, though you guys could definitely do that. I didn't see that as much. I normally saw everybody running iron sights, but if you want to, you can throw in the Corp Combat Hollow, and that'd be my recommendation as opposed to running a stipple grip tape. But this is the MW2 Scar H, and you guys can definitely use this in Warzone, have some fun with it. It's probably a lot better just to use on Rebirth Island specifically, just because this is not a very good long range AR. And for our final build here today, we're going to be taking a look at the AUG. So this is the MW AUG, and we back in the day called this it was the AUG HABAR, or the H-bar, pretty much. That's what I call it, the HABAR. But it was a very, like, you know, heavy hitting LMG back in that game. So we're gonna make this as heavy hitting as we possibly can, and let's get into this. First thing, of course, is gonna be a suppressor on this thing, mono suppressor like always for all these MW guns. In the barrel section, we're gonna go down here, we're gonna throw on that 622mm long barrel, damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Got to make sure this thing hits as hard as possible, and the long barrel is going to allow us to do that. Now in the underbarrel section, what we're going to do is we got to be able to throw on something that's going to control that recoil. So the commando foregrip is going to be my go-to on this thing, though if you really want to and you're not caring as much about mobility, you guys can definitely go for like a Ranger foregrip, and that'll be okay as well. But you will sacrifice, of course, mobility and some just general movement speed. So go for the commando. Is like that is my general suggestion. Now this is where it gets very crucial that we have to use this specific thing, and that's going to be the 5.56 NATO 60 round mag. You have to use this anyways if you're going to make this into a regular meta style build, and we do switch up this build. But for the purposes also of making this a Modern Warfare 2 centric one, you definitely have to do this, or maybe go for the NATO 5.56. But back in the day, we had a larger magazine in this general style of mag, but if you're trying to get to that general 60 that we had back in that day, you'd have to go for this drum style mag. So I mean, it's up to you guys what you want to do. I mean, you have to run the 5.56 regardless, but to make it as close to magazine capacity count back in the day what we had, we have to go for this. And then to finish off this whole build here, I'm going to actually go into the optics section. And because a lot of people run a holographic sight on this was a very popular thing to do back in the day, was to run a holographic sight, or just to run the silencer in, you know, by itself, because obviously you only had the option either of 1 or 2 attachments at maximum. So this is the other very popular attachment on it. So this is a pretty cool build here to try out in Warzone. That's been my top 5 style video. If you guys enjoyed it, you want to see more, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Just don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.